Every single Thursday we do this exercise because we predict our games on Tuesday. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss when we predict our games. Want to make sure you're all dialed in for that. Make sure we have everybody involved here when we do predict our games. When it comes to Thursdays, though, we give you our final thoughts, and predictions are kind of a part of that for these games, but we're not picking games. We're giving you predictions for those games, rather. And so we want to go matchup by matchup here, some of the big spots for a lot of these teams. Now, I don't know if there's a bigger spot this week when it comes to the brands than Georgia, Florida. Now, obviously, Georgia favored by 2 touchdowns, but they're without Brock Bowers. And I think for Georgia, you're looking for somebody to step up and be the production filler. 26%, I've said it a lot, but I'll say it again, 26% of the pass yards from Carson Beck to this point in the year have gone to Brock Bowers. A lot of passing yards now to step up and someone to fill that void. I think this is the Dominique Lovett game because, quite frankly, there's nobody better in the country at the next man up mentality than what Kirby Smart and Georgia have created there. They brought in Dominique Lovett for a reason. I think he's starting to catch his stride after transferring from Missouri. I love Dominique Lovett to step up in this game because I think he's dynamic. And when you're dynamic, you're tough to match up with. Like, it's tough to play man coverage in the slot against anybody. If you want to give him zone coverage, that's a lot of room for that guy to work. I think he'll take advantage of that. I think schematically for Georgia, when you lost Brock Bowers, you lost somebody to really effectively work the middle of the field. Dominique Lovett playing in the slot. I think he's going to be that guy for you. Now, I'm not sitting here pretending that Dominique Lovett's going to do it the same way that Brock Bowers did. I think it'll look different. But I do think when it comes to being able to make those safeties play honest and be able to come up and tackle whenever you do hit that intermediate pass game, I think Dominique Lovett, 1, will be that guy. 2, I expect him to do some good things after the catch. So expecting a big game from Dominique Lovett this Saturday against Florida. For Florida now, we talked about it earlier in the week in our prediction for this game. I said if I'm Austin Armstrong, defensively, swing for the chin. Meaning let's go for that knockout early. Knockout's the wrong word to use, but let's throw a haymaker early. Let's try and connect here. I think the same thing is true for the offensive side of the ball. Because think about it this way. If you're Florida and I throw a haymaker in round 1, what happens in a boxing match when I get my opponent real good on the chin in round 1? It changes the rest of the fight, right? I'm probably a little bit wobbly. I'm probably a little bit easier fatigued. I'm probably a little bit more tentative if I'm trying to throw punches and you just connected with one on the chin against me. And if Florida does that offensively, I think that changes the tempo they can play at the rest of the game. So the thought/prediction in this one is if I'm Florida, I'm expecting, or rather if I'm Georgia and I'm playing Florida, I'm expecting Florida to kind of try and play ground and pound, to try and control the line of scrimmage, to try and play with tempo. Why don't you zig when everybody else zags here? Why don't we kind of break a tendency? Dial one up to Ricky Pearsall, dial one up to Eugene Wilson, whoever it ends up being. Let's take a shot early, and if we hit on that and it's 7-0 Florida, momentum builds, belief builds, and then going back to what I said, you can play at your pace then. Then you make Georgia and Carson Beck try and chase you. Now, that's a delicate formula to address, but I think that's got to be the way that Florida approaches this game, playing against the number 1 team in the country, Georgia Bulldogs. Now, we got Texas. Interesting spot. No Quinn Ewers. It's going to be Maalik Murphy. My prediction here is I think we see some wow moments from Maalik Murphy. Now, I'm not saying we see the wow box score. I'm not saying he goes for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, I guess that scenario is possible. But I think you see him make some throws where you say, oh, that's not a backup quarterback throw. There's a reason he was as highly recruited as he was. There's a reason why they took this kid virtually before he had any varsity starts out of Southern California. And we talk about his arm talent. I think that's been displayed via the spring game. But the reason why I think he's going to have some wow moments, one, what I just said, the ability. The second part of this isn't new to Maalik Murphy. Like, Maalik Murphy didn't enroll this past spring and is now trying to get up to speed with the offense. That's not shade on Arch Manning. I'm saying that's not Maalik Murphy's situation. Maalik Murphy's been in this scheme for a certain period of time. He knows what he's doing. He knows the controls of the spaceship. He knows where the button is for the brake, for the nitrous, for the blast off, all that. Like, he understands how to work this offense. Now, it's going to take a second for him to get comfortable, I believe. But that's the third part of this. I think they're going to run the football for him, and that's going to create some more open shots downfield. Like we talked about it in our preview, BYU's not great stopping the run. They're averaging right around 4.5 yards a carry given up. So when that happens and that defense starts to get aggressive, Xavier Worthy, downfield. Adonai Mitchell, downfield. Like you got some options open is what I'm trying to say for Maalik Murphy, and I think he's got the ability to get it to them just fine. For Tennessee now, big game against Kentucky, very big game against Kentucky, trying to bounce back from the Bama loss. And we said it in our reaction video from the Tennessee-Alabama game for Tennessee, and like it just feels to me like you need somebody else to step up in that wide receiving room. I think Squirrel White's awesome. We talked about Squirrel White having to be a guy for Tennessee last week, and he was all that and then some, over 100 yards, multiple catches, had a touchdown to start the game. Like, they were rolling. But the issue was, in that second half, Alabama said, okay, you got Squirrel White. We're playing this run defense relatively well at this point in time. We're going to kind of keep it all in front of us, and you have to beat us, Joe Milton. Now, that's partly true because I think you do ask the quarterback to beat you. You got to deliver. That's 100% true. And Joe Milton, at times, left more to be desired. But I think the real thing here is you have to have more than just one wide receiver win for you. So my thought here, you need Dante Thornton to step up here. This needs to be the moment where Dante Thornton emerges. I mean, he's a unique blend of size and speed, big frame, can run like a deer. Like, he's got to be able to step up in this spot. Because I think Kentucky probably saw that tape too and says, okay, Squirrel White, we're going to give him extra attention. Can Dante Thornton win one-on-one and give Joe Milton someone to throw to? And it's got to be semi-consistent, in my opinion. Because if you can do that and you make Kentucky off balance in the pass game, maybe the run game opens up a little bit more like Tennessee already wants to do. Kentucky, they're not great against the pass. They're pretty good against the run. We'll see how that whole cat and mouse game shakes out. But again, I think Dante Thornton has to be the guy this week for Tennessee to step up. Because we talk a lot about Joe Milton. That's fair, I understand. But before we blame Joe Milton, look at that wide receiver room and see if anybody's separating outside of Squirrel White consistently. I think Dante Thornton's the guy this week. You talked about him a lot in the offseason, being a guy to step up and emerge. We did for sure. Transfer from Oregon, like ton of ability. Can we see it in this game? Can we see it in this game? I'm excited to watch that. I think he's got to be the guy. Now, we had the Anxiety Bowl last week, I suppose, with Miami and Clemson. I think we have the Anxiety Bowl round 2 here with South Carolina and A&M. South Carolina going to A&M, 14.5-point dog. Like, whoever loses this game, there's going to be a fair amount of noise. I'll start with South Carolina. If they lose, they go to 2-6, and they have to win out to make a bowl game with Kentucky and Clemson both left on the schedule. Now, there's going to be some volume that goes up this offseason. I don't think there's anything with Shane Beamer losing his job in South Carolina, to be real. I would be blown away if that somehow became a reality. But just the offseason, the chatter around your program, the chatter around what South Carolina didn't do, the chatter around underachieving and what you don't have on the line of scrimmage, you'd like to avoid that. You'd like to kind of keep a good thing going and kind of keep some momentum there for the recruiting trail as well, where I think Shane Beamer's going to make some hay as well if they can get things going on the field. Not novel analysis, but how we feel. It would put a lot of pressure on next year, is my overall takeaway, if they lose this game and put themselves in a corner to make a bowl game. The real stress, though, is all in College Station. If A&M lost, they would drop to 4-4. They still have games at Ole Miss and at LSU left on their schedule. We talked about it last week. Hey, what if Jimbo Fisher and company, what if they go 7-5? What if they go 8-4? Y'all, what if they go 6-6? Now, that's a very big what if, but if you drop this game and Spencer Rattler just gets to dealing, the conversation in College Station would get very uncomfortable. And I've been very hesitant to jump on the firing Jimbo Fisher train for a couple of reasons. Buyout's enormous. Guy has a track record. Guy has a ton of talent in his locker room, which in some sense, I guess, is an indictment if they don't succeed this year. If they go 6-6, man, I have a hard time believing those boosters won't find a way to get that buyout taken care of. And that sounds crazy because it would be in the neighborhood of $70 million. I think a little bit less based on the way that it's shaped up, right around $67.5 million. Even so, like, that's a ridiculous sum of money. But to go 6-6 after being 5-7 last year, I think they'd find a way to do it. Now, losing this game doesn't guarantee that you go 6-6. They could still find a way to win out and go 8-4 if they drop this game. And that kind of changes what's being said in College Station. But like, all that's to say, man, you don't want to lose this game if you're A&M. 2 touchdown favorites at home. South Carolina's got 2 wins. You got to find a way to get it done if you're A&M. And if you don't, the trajectory, the nose of that airplane is pointing down, and it would get very loud and uncomfortable. And again, I think the boosters would find a way to take care of things in College Station. So that's how we feel about that. But hoping that doesn't happen. We root for everyone to keep their job on this show. Like, we hope everyone has a job at the end of the day, college football and not. And yeah, we do not root for head coaches to lose their job, but there is some sense of, hey, what are we doing here if we're in College Station? Prize Picks is bringing you the hard count today. And before we get into our Prize picks for this week, I want to give you all a quick thank you, because we heard back from Prize Picks the other day, and they've just said, hey, listen, y'all are crushing it on that front. Shout out to your audience for getting it done. And it's like, man, we knew that already. I mean, this is the program. What are you talking about? The people deliver in an elite fashion whenever we put out a call to action, whenever we're putting down these entries, and y'all have answered in a phenomenal way using our code. So thank you for that. It's a great way to support the show, and we appreciate y'all enormously for that. So code JD, no periods in between there, just code JD. Whenever you sign up, 100% deposit match up to $100. Y'all, this is a blast to play. If you want to elevate your viewing experience during a Saturday afternoon, you want to take it to the next level, Prize Picks is a great way to do that. It's daily fantasy, safe, easy to use. It's free. It's a great time. So what we got on the agenda for this week's when it comes to our Prize Picks, got a little flex play for you. Had a flex play last week. It hit. We're going back to the well. So here we go. We like Braylon Allen against Ohio State. They got him at half a rushing touchdown. Listen, y'all know how we feel about this. Good things happening to good people. College kids living their dreams. Braylon Allen scoring a touchdown against Ohio State. His head coach's alma mater. With a backup quarterback, they're going to need him to get in the end zone. Braylon Allen, we like the more there on the half rushing touchdown. Cade Stover, half a receiving touchdown. So same game now. If you're Wisconsin, man, did we not see what Marvin Harrison Jr. did to Penn State? Did we not see him just go absolutely berserk in that game? If I'm Wisconsin, what am I going to do? Probably give him double coverage the entirety of the game. So when that happens, less attention on the big boy Cade Stover at tight end to work the middle a little bit. He had a good game last week, too, against Penn State. I'm expecting him to get in the end zone, half a receiving touchdown. Go ahead and give us the more. Now the third one here, Dylan Gabriel. Passing, rushing, receiving touchdown. His number is 2.5. We're going to take the more. One, because we like to see good things happen to good people. We already said that before. Dylan Gabriel, program guy of the week here on the hard count from what he did against what he did in Red River against Texas. I think you may need some points against Kansas now. I think you may need some points. Jalen Daniels, at the time of us being live, does not sound like he will be the guy for Kansas, but Jason Bean now, quarterback for Kansas, loosening the wing up a little bit. Expect him to throw it around the yard. I like the more there. Again, that's 2.5 total touchdowns, more or less, for Dylan Gabriel. So, again, this is a flex play. If you want to power play it, be my guest. That's not what we're doing. If you want to follow us, we're going the flex play. If you get all three of these right, which would be a great day for us, would not be out of the ordinary for us, you would 2.25x your entry. Now, if we don't get all three of these, let's say we miss on one of them, that's okay. That's why you're flexing it, baby. You get two correct, 1.25x your entry. Again, redeem code JD, 100% deposit match, up to $100. Prize Picks, bringing y'all the hard count. We love y'all. They love y'all. Appreciate y'all supporting the show by using that code and for getting the good people involved with Prize Picks. And just, having a good time on a Saturday. Appreciate y'all for that, man. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.